You know that feeling, right? When you feel like you're being pressured into something. That feeling where your choices start to feel, well, a lot smaller. And what started as just a suggestion suddenly sounds a lot more like a demand. It's a feeling we all know, and for literally centuries, the law has been wrestling with one crucial question: where is the line?
I mean, really think about it. When does a friendly recommendation, or a sales pitch, or even just a heartfelt plea, when does it cross over into something more forceful, something that's actually illegal? That's the core question we're going to dig into. So for a long, long time, the law has been trying to draw this line to separate what's okay, what's legitimate influence, from what's not okay, which is wrongful pressure. And to do that, it developed two really powerful and very distinct concepts.
Okay, first up, we have what the law calls coercion. And honestly, the best way to picture this is like a sudden strike of lightning. It's direct, it's immediate, it's completely unmistakable, and it leaves you feeling like you have no real choice.
Let's look at the actual formal definition here. Actual coercion is when one party uses a brief moment of power, what they call a temporary position of strength, to get something they're not entitled to. The two words to really focus on there are temporary and exploit.
So the most important thing to get here is that coercion is about one specific, isolated event. This isn't some long, drawn-out campaign. Nope. It's a single, powerful blow.
And the classic case for this, our Exhibit A, is from 1866. It's called Williams versus Bailey. In this situation, a father was pressured into mortgaging his property to cover his son's forged debts. And the pressure was a direct threat. Do this or your son gets prosecuted. That right there is the essence of this sudden, direct kind of pressure.
But what if the pressure isn't a lightning strike? What if it's more like a spider's web? Something that's slowly and carefully woven over a long, long time. Well, for that, the law has a completely different concept: domination.
And just listen to the language the law uses here. Insidious control, prolonged period. This is the total opposite of coercion. It's all about a subtle, creeping influence that just slowly erodes someone's free will over time.
So if coercion is like a punch, you could say domination is more like a slow-acting poison. It's a methodical, long-term pattern of control that becomes almost impossible to escape from.
And get this, just 2 years after the first case, the courts defined this one in Lyon versus Horn. This is our Exhibit B, and it involved a young woman who was pressured by her spiritual advisor to give him almost all of her property. It's the classic example of that long-term, insidious kind of influence. So we have two very, very different kinds of pressure: the sudden strike of coercion and the slow web of domination. Let's put them side by side to really see the difference. And the contrast is pretty stark, isn't it? The strike is temporary and direct. It all happens in a single moment. The web is prolonged and insidious. It builds its power up over time. These are two totally distinct problems, so it makes sense that the law would need two distinct solutions for them.
And here's where we tie it all back together. You've got actual coercion, that temporary exploitation, which was defined by Williams v. Bailey. Then you've got general domination, that insidious control over time, defined by Lyon v. Horn. Seeing them in a table like this really solidifies the distinction, doesn't it?
So you might be wondering, why are we talking about a couple of legal cases from the 1860s? Well, because this distinction between a strike and a web is more relevant today than ever before. It's all about how we understand fairness.
This distinction really matters. It gives us the tools to tell the difference between a single bad act, like a threat to get a signature on a contract, and a long-term pattern of abuse, like in cases of elder financial abuse. It helps us recognize that power imbalances can be temporary, or they can be systemic, and that shapes everything from business law to how we protect vulnerable people in our communities. It literally creates different paths to get justice. And that leaves us with one final thought. In our modern world, a world filled with targeted ads, social media influencers, and algorithms that are specifically designed to persuade us, is the pressure we're all facing a series of sudden strikes, or are we all caught in a much larger, much more subtle web? Where do we draw the line today?